All right, y'all. I'm being extra special today with this. So, day 10 of the McMichaels Bryan trial. I told y'all yesterday I was ready for this prosecutor to get up there, and she did not disappoint. She got up there and she went straight to war. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to just do a little recap of today's events, jump in with a little few other things. But basically, this is my little true crime segment. I think our stories are underrepresented. Because if you watch 2020, 60 Minutes, things like that, you don't get to see a lot of us, you know. Y'all have to bear with me because I took a lot of freaking notes while watching this today, and in the groups that I was in. I watched the trial, and I was also in some groups with the lawyers, prosecutors. Wanda, which is Ahmaud's mother, she stepped in there at the end, so to say hi after the trial, which is why I'm a little bit late getting up on here today. So it's a lot going on, a lot going on. But let's go ahead and start this recap. Hey, Derek. Hey, Wardell. What's up, Larry? What's up, Kenny Cagle? Thank y'all for joining. I am streaming live on Facebook and Instagram, so forgive me if I'm missing. If you guys are talking to me and I'm looking at my notes, it's because I am going back and forth. So it's going to take a little bit to get caught up on that. Let me tell you. Hold up. My notes are all out of order right here. Look, let me tell y'all. I started writing on sticky notes first. So y'all got to forgive me. I started on my sticky notes. Then I was like, I am doing this. I'm doing too much. So I had to switch it up. But I'm going to try to go in order. I'm trying to go in order for the whole day. Of course, Bryant's lawyer starts the day out with his usual. He started with his wanting a mistrial and having Al Sharpton and Reverend Justin Jackson removed. And he brought up this morning, Farrakhan, like it was a trial that had Farrakhan in it. And he actually brought that up as his reasoning. Oh, you can't hear me? No. You can't hear me at all? Okay, trying to adjust some audio there. Sorry about that. If you can't hear, it's probably because I got the thing down too far. Can you hear me now? Can you hear anything now? Because it's tragic if y'all can't hear me. And I don't want to sit there and hold the phone like I had to do yesterday. That was tragic. Let me see. Oop. But I'll scoot a little closer. How about now, Sheila? I will lean in a little more so you can hear me. Just let me know if you can, though, and then I'll start back. Okay. Well, hopefully you can hear something. So he went back on that BS that he has been on with the anything black he wants to remove from the courtroom. He can't hide his true colors at all here. This man is losing his dang on mind, and it is ridiculous. Like at the lengths that he is going to try to have Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton removed from the courtroom. Basically, the judge was not impressed with it at all, so it didn't even matter. Judge didn't fall for it, so that's a good thing. Oh, I do want to say I am glad if you were following the Julius Jones situation. He was on death row. I know I just jumped around right there, but I wanted to get this out the way because I know once I get in, I am going to be done with this. Julius Jones, it came down to the wire for the governor to commute his execution. This man was literally about to be executed, and they finally, at the last hour, the fact that this man was on death row for so long, to the fact that he was up to get executed for a crime that he did not commit. Finally, at the 11th hour, the execution was committed. So that was saved. I believe that is a win. If you don't know the situation with Julius Jones, he was at home with his family playing a board game, and they say that he killed someone. That situation is just a total mess. Someone else admitted for the crime in that situation. So that's a whole nother level right there of the craziness that went on in that situation. But back to the McMichaels and Bryan trial. The prosecution, she showed up. When I say she showed up, she showed up like she was ready for war. She had her game face on, y'all. She was ready. She was sitting there when he was seated on the stand. That long glare she gave him before she started, I just loved it. I loved everything about that. She was prepared for war just to go up against Travis McMichael. And like I said, I ate it up. Okay. McMichael's people went on to say they had probable cause after the prosecution lit into him. She lit fire into him about his military training and what probable cause actually was. Basically, she threw that line out there, and he just, she just reeled him in with that about probable cause and the military training, because he was trying to say that he had probable cause to basically follow Ahmaud Arbery. Basically, as a veteran, that was all a lie. And basically, she got all of that up out of him. He tried. He just, he was nobody but a thug with a gun and a truck chasing after this man. But whatever. Travis also lied about the friends. It was a certain person that she asked if did he know this person, or was he friends with this person, or Facebook friends, whatever. Travis straight up was like, nah. She handed him the transcript. He basically had to read up in the transcript where he did say he was Facebook friends, because this whole community, they have this freaking Facebook group where they just in there chatting back and forth. Oh gosh, a black person in the neighborhood. What is this person doing there? I'm gonna get more in detail with that, because these other witnesses that came on the stand after that, they were just ridiculous when it came to this neighborhood chat. The neighborhood chat, not just the Facebook one, but the one like on the Ring app that they're chatting back and forth on. It's just all out of order and ridiculous there. She controlled him very, 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 very well today. Like, the control she had over him was ridiculous on the stand. She was letting him still talk, but leading him right on back in. She had him. The conversation of that Travis had with Larry English. Larry English is the actual owner of the house, if you can call it a house. There's basically the house being built. It was just literally a structure. There's not much more to it. It's a straight structure. That's all it was. She got Travis roped into the conversation about him and had him saying that he never had anything stolen out of the structure. Oh, the beginning, Valencia, the beginning, I'm just honestly starting. I have not been on that long at all. So you really haven't got anything. I just said the prosecution basically has been prepared for war. She showed up ready. So you didn't miss anything yet. But I'm getting to it. Okay. So got Travis to admit that Larry English never had told him that he had anything stolen out of the structure. I'm calling it a structure because, a house has windows, everything. This is literally just a structure. So got Travis to admit that Larry English never told him that anything was stolen. But of course he brought back up, well, something was stolen up out of a boat. But in this little neighborhood, people tend to leave their things unlocked, and I honestly think it's teenagers running around just snatching stuff out of cars because they just rummage through the stuff. They're not really stealing anything of significance. Yep. she had him talking about how he followed Travis around, repeating basically what he said about him following Travis around the neighborhood, stalking him, and how he chased him through the neighborhood, constantly ordering Ahmaud Arbery to stop. And then she was like, yeah, but he didn't have to. You had no authorization, no authority to make this man stop. Nobody is obligated because you want them to stop and talk to you. They don't have to stop and talk to you. They don't. They just don't. And I mean, like I discussed the other day, you know, some folks that lack melanin expect black people to constantly stop and be at their beck and call, and we don't have to. We absolutely do not have to. Yep. She got him to say that Travis could have stopped at any time. I mean, and matter of fact, she was breaking it down. She had him down to 3 times where she was like, yeah, you could have stopped it. You could have turned away. He was like, no, but I was just trying to get information. She was like, well, why didn't you go back to the guy from the beginning? I have his name written down somewhere on these mini notes that I have, but I can't remember his name at the moment. It'll come to me once I get back through. But basically, she was like, well, if you wanted the information, why didn't you go to the guy that you said that was pointing and sent you on your way if you wanted information so bad? So she just blew that out of the water. Rick, it's not just for black men. They think that black women should always stop and comply. Like, whenever you're asked a question or anything, you're just supposed to stop and answer and do whatever, but we don't have to. That's neither here nor there. I'm not stopping for you. I'm not talking to you. And in this case, I would have ran too. So whatever. I would have kept on running, minding my damn business. That's what I would have done. Yep. Travis was constantly changing the story from, oh, he wasn't trying to stop Ahmaud Arbery. That's not what he was trying to do. He was just trying to watch him and waiting on the police because he knew the police was coming. But come to find out, the police were never freaking called up until Travis had his gun out. That's when the whole police were actually called. But, you know, he was set up saying he was following him because he knew that the police were on their way. He emphatically said this in his own testimony with the defense. But then she just chopped that all up. Prosecutor wore his butt out with the truth. The truth. Got him. Yep. She got him to admit that his father was also outside the truck. I mean, we saw the video, and if you haven't seen the video, you know by now that both of them jokers were outside of the truck. This crippled man was out, the hip replacement, heart attack, or a stroke, whatever man that would squeeze his big butt up in that car seat to go on this ride. Matter of fact, he was up in the truck before Travis was up in the truck ready to go. But this man, you know, he was worried about his daddy, even though he never told us to the police that he feared, you know, that Ahmaud would do something to his daddy. But anyway, the father said, and Travis said it on the stand, stop, or I am very candid. I'm not going to sugarcoat any of the language here because we're all grown if you're watching this and if you're following the trial. The father said, stop or I will blow your fucking head off. And Travis was like, yeah, I mean, at first he was like, well, I don't recall if that's what he said. And she was like, well, you were standing right next to him when he said it. It's on video that you said it. So did he say it? And basically he had to relent and was like, yeah, you know, hey, we had to. But like I said, she was controlling him very well. He was on the stand. I mean, he was doing his usual beatboxing, trying to tap dance around it, but it was not working. When I say this woman had her notes together and was ready, and I think last night that they literally over prepared with Travis trying to hint on what they thought he was gonna say. And so that just like messed him up and flustered him even more because I think what they thought she was going to do and then she went the other way. So that was, all that just was amazing. They also brought up a mention of him chasing. She didn't necessarily say it was like slave catching, but basically chasing him around the neighborhood. And the citizen arrest law, I had to look this up, y'all, because it was just too much with this citizen's arrest. This citizen's arrest law is something that has been on the books since 1863 and is a slave catching law. So that's basically what they were out there, the law that they were using to chase Ahmaud Arbery around the neighborhood was that. And another thing that Travis wore me out with this statement that he was saying, Ahmaud was being aggressive with the black truck. If you're running, I don't know about y'all, but anytime you're outside and a vehicle passes you or get close to you, how are you, the pedestrian, gonna get aggressive with the truck? Who knows? I mean, it was just crazy. Yes, this is a completely different trial than the Rittenhouse trial. Where we will recap the Rittenhouse trial sometime this weekend, because I have to really digest that one. I'm not too confident about that one, so I'm gonna try today, even though yesterday I kind of combined them both. I'm gonna try today to keep it specifically on this Ahmaud Arbery, to get justice for him. And since I am currently in Atlanta right now, close to the area, let me say, the lawyer for Bryan, Bryan's lawyer, once again, jumped up and he wanted a mistrial. No, he wanted a removal of juror number 12. He said she was nodding off. The prosecution, of course, objected. The judge said that, you know, basically he's been keeping an eye on, he'll just keep an eye on juror number 12, and kind of just basically left it at that. Like, dude, you know, just, it is what it is at this point. You know, I'll keep an eye on her, but I don't see anything that she's not paying attention to this. I couldn't get a good view of 12, but I'm definitely going to have to look at, what's up, Chico? Hey. Yep. So, we're still in the very beginning of it. He already brought up Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton at the very beginning. This man circles back to Jesse Jackson once again. They took a little break, came back. First thing he wants to say is, Jesse Jackson is out here bringing these people in. Oh, and guess what? Somebody is outside wearing a shirt that says they support black pastors. So this shirt is, this man wants to have a mistrial over this shirt right now. The judge basically like, man, if you bring this stuff up one more time, one more again, I'm gonna mistrial you. That's how the judge was looking at him. And let me just say, this is the True Crime Remix. We are doing this in our own way right now. Yes, Hazel, I am trying to give the recap, but give it in our own way. This is something I thought about for a long time, doing back in actually 2017 when I filmed From Jim to James Crow, but I just said, let me go ahead and get it out the way now. It's a lot. Yeah, it's the madness. Yes, one more again. The judge was on his last leg. He's like, I don't know why you keep bringing this up. The prosecution team over there looking like, this dude again. But yeah, he brought it up. At this point, the prosecution, mainly Bryan, but not to be deterred, the other ones behind him were in on it too. The man was like, oh yes, Sheila, yes. How many pastors they got, and what relationship does he actually have to the family? I mean, how many of them are really their pastors? Like, he's just really, really annoyed with this. But I mean, you can have as many pastors as you want to. If that's what you want. If that's what you want, you got. Hey, you can go. How many days of the week and how many different churches they are, especially in Georgia, there's a church on every corner. So yes, every last one of them could have been his pastor. But this prosecution, not the prosecution, excuse me, the defense the defense, aka Bryan's lawyer, he's over there having a conniption. He's trying everything that he can. Now back to this black truck. After the judge is basically like, look, I'm not listening to this BS again. Quit. You can bring it up, but it's still a no. The trial is still going forward. So then they jump back in and back to Travis. Travis was like, Ahmaud tried to attack the truck, but he had to go to his notes to remember if that's what he actually told the police. Like I said, this man was all over the place when it came to this. Man, I mean, it was crazy. So he had to go to the notes because all of that about Ahmaud being aggressive with this truck and everything, it was an all-out lie. You know, at first he said that Ahmaud hit the truck. Then he changed it to, oh no, he just ran. After he looked at his notes, he had to stop, look at his notes again, and remember his lie that, you know, that he was telling. He said, oh no, he didn't hit the truck. He just ran by the truck. Because when he said he hit the truck, prosecution woman was like, oh really? He hit the truck? I mean, the inflection of her voice was so funny to me. She was like, oh yeah, I got you right here. But no, that's not the case. So, he kept saying also that Ahmaud had no reason to, like, basically fear him. And then he turned around and admitted that Ahmaud took off running at one point. This is like this was the second time that he caught up with Ahmaud. And he said that he can actually, he was reaching for his weapon. Okay. Can y'all hear me now on the Instagram side? As I'm trying to sit up, I don't know what's wrong with the sound. Can you hear me now? If you can't hear me on Instagram, go to Facebook. I'm live on Facebook as well. So I'm trying it. Nope, Jason, nobody is getting aggressive with a vehicle when they're trying to get out the way. But especially if you're black and you got these yeehaw that's riding around in these trucks after you. And like I said, they already had the daddy outside shouting everything. I already said, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. So we know that's in there. And we also heard on the video of, you know, the N-words was flying around. It was a bunch of that. Yep. In that moment, he knew he fucked up. He sure did, Rick. Yes, absolutely. So he admitted that Ahmaud actually saw his gun. At first, he was trying to say the gun slid down. There is no way possible that Ahmaud knew he had the gun. But on the second stop, he said, yes, Ahmaud did see that he had a weapon. And then he claimed Ahmaud was further down with the truck, being aggressive with the truck again. So instead of him trying to go down there and see what's going on with the truck, he decided he's going to cut him off. The prosecution had him hemmed up with this. She's like, oh, so you were going to go cut him off? He was like, oh, no. I wasn't going to cut him off. I was trying to go see where he was going so I can inform the police. Mind y'all, I said the police were never called. She reeled that up out of him too. Like, the police were never called. But he said he knew the police were on the way. So he wanted to make sure he got down to see them to go. And then at this point, she was like, okay, once again, you could have went on your way. And also had Travis admit that, yeah, he let him go. He let Ahmaud run off. Like, let him. Like, the way that he was saying that was just ridiculous. I'm telling you. And this man was sitting up there. If you've ever watched Jack Nicholson on A Few Good Men, I swear this dude, that's who he thought he was. That you couldn't tell him that he was not Jack Nicholson. You can't tell this man that. You can't tell him that. Now, back to this 911 call, because he'd been saying from the beginning the phone call was made. He says he followed because he knew the police were on the way, but there was no 911 call, not until the gun came out. Then there was a whole conversation about call 911. You're already out. He claims Ahmaud was running for him, but then he was like, Ahmaud turned and ran the other way. But also, the other two times, he said Ahmaud ran past him. So there was really no reason for him to have the weapon out. And then there was a whole dispute over if Ahmaud grabbed a gun or not. She hemmed him up. She said the officer, in his initial report to the officer, he said he couldn't remember if the gun was grabbed. Okay, once again, she was like, oh, really? So once again, the notebook came out and he had to read over that again about the whole gun issue. He said he couldn't remember if he grabbed a gun. Then he said he did grab the gun. But of course, if you've seen the video disputes all of that. Yep. Travis admitted that he never told the police that he was trying to make a citizen arrest. So this whole thing of trying to pin him down to stop him and hold him for the police by any way, it's a fabrication because it just never happened. Then he was asked about a Facebook post, y'all. Facebook post and comments that his daddy said. Daddy was getting thrown all up under the bus in this cross-examination, and I loved it. I loved every freaking moment of it, y'all. Daddy was thrown up under the bus, the Mack truck, everything, and getting ran over. Travis tried to play amnesia with the Facebook post on his comments about his daddy, and then the notes came out. And it said, had to catch that vermin. Y'all, this was before. He's talking about catching vermin before he murdered Ahmaud Arbery. Now, mind you, for those who are not paying attention, the person that I'm talking about that is on the stand today was Travis McMichaels, the actual person who actually shot Ahmaud Arbery numerous times. And yeah, when it came to the redirect, the defense struggled. I mean, and it happened so fast, I blinked. And the defense was like, you know what? I give up. This man done dug this hole so bad. I mean, it's nothing I can do. So then the prosecution was like, skip it. I'm moving on to the neighbors. Next witness, next. Cause that hole that Travis dug, it was no getting up out of that. So he moved on. Let's talk about these neighbors. The neighbors in this neighborhood, one person saying the neighborhood is diverse. The next person saying them colored folks. It was a hot mess. The first person up, they kind of got her off. They kind of got her off real quick because I think she was talking too much, but they dismissed her. But the next one, they came out. The defense tried to get her to say they were worried about crime in the neighborhood, that they were so stressed and worried about this crime in the neighborhood. The prosecution switched that up and they was like, yeah, so when was the last time you personally witnessed some crime? Look, I'm gonna just call her Maud, because Maud was up there like, look, I'm old, I don't give a damn no more, it is what it is. She was like, she had not personally experienced any crime in 30 years, y'all. 30 freaking years. But they're saying all this crime is happening in the neighborhood. Oh my God, the crime going on in the neighborhood, y'all. 30 years ago. Okay, another break after Maud, cause they was worried about Maud, man. They was worried about Maud was gonna spill them beans. They had to get up off the stage. So recess once again. Yeah. Maud had lived in the neighborhood since 1976. That is a long time to be in the neighborhood. And yeah. So she knows everybody and everything, but they got her right up off the stage. Right up off the stand. Break time. Motion to dismiss once again. Lord. Another motion to dismiss. This time, the motion to dismiss was because of the question. Oh. This is what happened. The prosecution, the prosecution team, there are several people on the prosecution team. The black prosecution got up at the end of that, Ahmaud in her 30 years and no crime. She got up and said something to the fact then, how do you feel about, do you feel that you have a right to kill somebody over burglary or something like that? So, of course, courtroom an uproar, objections flying all over the place. That was shut down real quick. Courtroom cleared out. So this is where this next motion to dismiss came in, because it was crazy. Oh yeah, Daphne, I'm gonna get to that noise outside, because it comes right up in this motion to dismiss that I'm talking about, with the people when they took the jurors back out again because of the black prosecutor. I believe this was done on purpose. I hate the way that it was done though, because it had the black lawyer getting up there looking like the angry black woman when she asked this question. And so the response to it, I'm just not feeling okay with that. If y'all wanted to do that, that was fine. You could have had the white lawyer do that. I mean, you didn't have to have a black woman do that. So whatever. Yep. Oh, Sheila, we're going to get to all those, the change, the CDs, and all these unlocked doors from these neighbors. But let me finish with this motion to dismiss. Once again, the motion to dismiss because of the question to the neighbor. Yep. The question was if she thought theft deserved to be murdered. It was like that. I was writing these notes so fast, so it's kind of crazy. Then the next thing they brought up was the dang on outside, the noise outside, then the Black Lives Matter t-shirt. Somebody outside wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. First of all, you need to be focused on this lawyer that sat up there and asked this woman, that she felt basically that Travis had the right to murder Ahmaud Arbery. But, judge, once again, why are you bringing up this bull crap about these folks outside? I don't care. What they do outside, who gives a dang? That's where the judge is at. He's totally over it. At the end of this complaint, the black prosecutor ended up being admonished from the court, basically warned if she's going to do it again, she'll basically be removed from the court. But of course, Team Bryan up over there, they wanted a mistrial once again for that comment, and it was just too much. Yeah. Oh, Missy, you hope the police get in trouble too? They not. We could hope, but that's not gonna happen. But hey, whatever. This is just an observation that I had. Travis wanted Ahmaud to stop and talk, demanding that he stop and talk to him, supposedly. But as soon as Ahmaud came in his direction, now all of a sudden he was a threat, and then he got shot. Like that. That's what ran through my mind while they were over there arguing over this Black Lives Matter t-shirt outside. So, yeah, that Black Lives Matter t-shirt, it was a whole thing. It's like, then after that, they come back in and the Karens took the stand. This woman was too happy to be up in there about her neighborhood. And this is another lady now, because Ahmaud is off the stand. Basically, these folks, they're bragging about being in the neighborhood Facebook group. But this one woman, they put her on the stand. She had the last name, a Hispanic last name is what they consider it. She had that, but her husband, I think, also was Hispanic, but they're on the white Hispanic side. And the way that she was talking to oh, yes, he's my protector. Calling her husband a protector, like her husband had to be there to protect her from whatever is going on. This uptick in this nonviolent crime in the neighborhood. Basically, the crime in the neighborhood is they've been leaving their car doors unlocked. And people have been rummaging through that. And what has been stolen, as Sheila said earlier, Daphne or Sheila said earlier, was some dang on CDs. Don't nobody give a damn about them CDs. But, it's crazy. Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, Jesse, I already said that about Travis talking about I let him run away. I didn't chase after him. I let him. I let him. He constantly said that over and over and over again. Like he had the right. Well, in his mind, he felt like he had the right. Yeah. It was crazy. So at one point with this Karen, Senior Karen that was on the stage, on the stand, there she claimed that, she had to get security for her house, but come to find out that basically her cameras, like everybody else in the neighborhood, then not one of them had actual recording or stuff. And so there were some white people that were at the house that was under construction, still not built yet, and not one person stopped them. Everybody assumed that these white folks were contractors and let the people go. Come to find out, those were the people that were stealing stuff. Those were the people that stole the stuff out the boat. But hey, they was white, so nobody suspected them of theft, but they all worried about Ahmaud. Yep. It was that. This other thing too. This neighborhood group chat, they got all their stuff together. They kept claiming the neighborhood is diverse. This neighborhood is so diverse. Y'all. They got one whole black person living in the neighborhood. One black person in the neighborhood, but the neighborhood is diverse according to them. And I truly believe they use the white Hispanic people like for sympathy to try to play on that. Oh, they're diverse, and I know that they're playing to the juror. They're not playing to us because black people, we know that white Hispanic people can be, aka Zimmerman, can be just as racist as anybody else. We do not fall for that they're Hispanic, that they can't be racist stuff. So, but they weren't talking to us. They were playing to the jurors. So I don't know how that's going to go over. Jesse, I'm trying to keep up with what y'all saying at the time. None of the defense witnesses added nothing to the case. They only showed their prejudice. I think that was the point. I think that was the whole point. They were the get along gang up there on the stand. Yep. The older woman, my favorite person from the neighborhood, though. This woman knew all the happenings in the neighborhood on this neighborhood at this point, I just had to take a long, hard sigh when she first started talking. I'm taking my sigh here because she didn't get to her end yet. This was another mod on the stand at this point. She had her husband bust his butt getting out the bed, basically. Oh yes, the other woman, basically, she was in China and her daughter was home and someone stole out of her unlocked car. Basically, they didn't call the police because they're like, you should have locked your car doors, but it was unreported, and this stuff basically has everybody all in the uproar right now. Everybody in the uproar over these dang on old ass CDs being stolen out these cars, y'all, because that's the only thing that they had in there to grab. Yeah. She's but they hurried up and got her off the stand because when the prosecution, they had the male prosecutor start doing the cross-examine of these people after my girl prosecutor went to war on Travis. She took a break, and then the male prosecutor was doing a cross on these so-called witnesses, the neighborhood gang on Facebook that allowed Travis to get on Facebook under a fake name to watch everything that's going on in the group before the trial. So all of these people were coerced. They were everything. But when the male prosecution got up there, mod number 2 was like, oh, yes, we had us a good old talking. I told you how I felt. I really told you how I felt. I'm so mad, man. This was the moment he should have drilled down, because I believe that conversation that she had, because she was too eager and too giddy to talk to this male prosecutor. I'm telling y'all, her whole demeanor changed up from the way she was speaking to the defense lawyers. Like, her whole demeanor completely changed. Like, with the defense lawyers, she's like, I'm just here because y'all paid me to be. That's how I felt that conversation was going with her. But when the male prosecution got up, she was like, oh yes, that conversation, boy. I'm so mad that they did not let it continue. It's ridiculous on how they didn't let it continue. I'm so mad. They should have let it go on. But anyway, she just basically said that there was no violent crime up until Ahmaud Arbery was murdered. She had a very, very, very good rapport with the prosecutor. She said, that the whole, I told you how I felt, but, Bryan lawyer in the corner, objection. How you objection to this woman talking about she told you how she felt? But anyway, he objected, but the prosecution already made his point. So, at that point, he was gone. Okay. This next neighbor that got up there, y'all. God. She went to Kyle Rittenhouse School of Tears 101. Lord. Before I get to that, let me read what Jesse says. Is for a Facebook administrator, she didn't know jack shit. Then she started twisting and writhing her hands. She knew she was an accomplice. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the one I'm on now. This is the lady now. The neighborhood administrator. That's the one who I'm at now. That's this crazy woman. That's the woman who allowed Travis to get up on there and basically control the neighborhood group on these conversations. That's who Butt was up next. This woman was really trying to cry. Y'all, she was really trying her best to cry and tear because my kids can no longer be outside after dark. Why the hell your kids gonna be outside playing after dark talking about they traumatized because all of this crime in the neighborhood? Not the crime of people going into the unlocked cars, but the crime of they seen a black man out there one time. So that's what they're scared of. All this crime, all this stuff that's happening. All this unreported crime. And everybody was saying, well, where are you hearing this crime from? And it all circles back to this Facebook group. The Facebook group is the crime, y'all. Because there was no crime. There was no crime going on in this little sleepy little neighborhood. They were just upset because it was one more black person in the neighborhood. Told you they only had one. So that Ahmaud being in the neighborhood, that made two. That was too many, y'all. She was crying, dry crying, boo-hooing, Pete Karen. Yeah. She is someone who said she saw flashlights, y'all. Flashlights shining around the neighborhood. And the defense tried to make it seem like the flashlights that were shining around the neighborhood, that they were criminals. Y'all come to find out the people that was shining the flashlights around the neighborhood was the damn police. The police. That's who she actually caught on her camera. The police. Not Ahmaud, not anyone else, but the police out there shining their lights. Those were the trespassers that she caught. She never, not one person, I think it was 5 or 6 witnesses at that time. I missed a little bit of it because I did have to go into a meeting. So I missed a little portion, but I think at that point it was 5 or 6. Like I said, nobody saw anybody on their cameras. All these people with their extra security and heightened security, but leaving doors unlocked all the time. Hey, but them people's watching. Okay. Some thoughts about this before we get towards the end. Travis McMichaels, he desperately tried to hint to Ahmaud being unstable and on something. He was on my nerves. Like, he was trying to give this description. I don't know, he was hyped up on something. And after the trial, when I was in the group with the lawyer speaking on it, I get why he was trying to bring that up. But it's ridiculous. He was trying to say that Ahmaud was unstable and on something because they were trying to get some things that the judge already said, no, you can't bring this up in court. He was trying to bring those back in by way of Travis, but when he tried to bring him back up, the judge shut all that stuff down. The defense, the jurors have been dismissed at this point. It's the end of the day. The defense team was trying hard to bring in whatever these codes are, 401 and 403, which was Ahmaud Arbery's mental state and him being on probation, trying to bring that back up once again, to bring that back up. And this use of force expert. Basically, the judge was like, yep, heard all that at the beginning. Guess what? Motion denied. You still not bringing that in. Once again, Bryan's lawyer, Gomer Powell, up over there. End of the day, he's still going for a mistrial again. I think this is the 5th time today that this man wanted a mistrial. Yep, Jesse Travis kept saying because of all the time Ahmaud broke into the house, the freaking house was wide open. Nobody broke in. Exactly, Jesse. And that's why I kept stressing the fact that the house was under construction. It was not a real home. It was not in that. And one of the neighbors actually said it. I think it was one of the older ladies basically said, like, if you want to call it a house, she couldn't even call it a house. One of the neighborhoods from the Facebook app. She said it on stand. She was like, if you want to call it a house. She said she didn't even think it even had a door on it at the time. She couldn't remember. But basically, even she didn't consider the house to be broken into or any of this. But mind you, to let the white folks walk right on up in there, and those were the thieves, y'all. But Ahmaud, nope. That Negro back. So back to the end of the day. This Facebook neighborhood clearly met to get their stories together, y'all. They clearly met to get their stories together, to get up on the stand. Why? Because older lady Ahmaud, the one that was kikiing when the prosecutor came up there to talk to her exact words were, yes, as I recall, it was the neighborhood version of events that happened. The neighborhood version of events that happened. Not her words, but the neighborhood's versions of events. That means that when that one lady, the administrator of Facebook, when she allowed Travis to get in that group, he controlled the narrative on how everything was supposed to go. Some other thoughts was this: they tried to twist from the McMichael trial. The lawyer tried to twist it from it being the McMichaels, because I told you the daddy got thrown all up under that bus all day long. The McMichaels and the Bryan trial tried to flip it to Ahmaud Arbery being on trial. That's why at the end of the day, he was fighting for the 401 and the 403, which is the mental state and the probation. And the judge was like, no, you're not bringing this in. And he was like, well, the prosecution brought it up. And the prosecution was like, no, your witness brought it up. So I had every right to question him. And the lawyer was basically the defense lawyer was trying to basically act like the prosecution had no right to question him over the stuff that he brought up himself. So it was crazy. But now I realize why Travis, at this point, this is why, and the talks in between with the lawyer group afterward, that basically Travis brought this stuff up because they were trying to admit the stuff that was thrown out earlier, but the judge was like, nope. So basically, the defense team, they're over there getting frustrated. The way that they did everything, though, today, like, I can sit here and watch, and I can be frustrated at how things going, but I'm not their target audience. Their target audience was the jurors, but also on that set of jurors, you have 2 ex-cops, which is why Travis kept stating certain things like, I let him go. Citizen's arrest, like why he's trying to say that as an authority, like he had some authority to do these things. So he's playing to those cops and that mentality, hoping that, you know, they will side with him on protecting the neighborhood. And like one of the neighbors, oh, he had to protect me. and my other neighbor, you know, they're the protectors. They need to be protected in this neighborhood that everybody keeps leaving their doors unlocked and they keep getting these CDs stolen up out of. Yeah, it was a lot going on today, but after the defense didn't get their way with those other motions, guess what they ended up doing? They rested on the McMichaels and they rested on Bryan. So that is the end of the deliberations. They have some other motions that they're going to put on the record. I guess they're just putting them on the record. So like if in a case of the appeal, it can be brought up, but the jurors will never see this. And those things will be what they suppose Ahmaud Arbery's mental health or mental state was at the time. And the probation denied the mental state when they were talking off with the jury out. They were trying to say that, oh, he's had interactions with police before and it didn't turn out right. Well, not too many black people are having good, positive interactions with police these days and for the past, 400 years. So whatever, when it comes to that, like, they were trying to bring up fight or flight, but first they were trying to make it seem like it applied to Travis. Then they were like, "Oh no, we're talking about Ahmaud state." Like, but it was mess. The judge basically wasn't dealing with the Black Lives Matter. He didn't care about them T-shirts. He didn't care about this Farrakhan being brought up in there. He did not care about nothing. And Jesse Travis was saying because of all the time Ahmaud broke into the house, he was freaking. And the freaking house was wide open. Okay, I saw that. Daphne, yeah, it was only a frame on that house. Absolutely. Just a frame. Nothing else. And back to Jesse's, like, I kept waiting for Gall to object. One too many black jurors. He had an objection to everything. So, and what I couldn't see, I don't know if you could see it, Jesse, was juror number 12 the black juror? Because, I was multitasking, so like when we're watching this, we can't see the jury at all times, depending on which stream you're watching it on. Some of the time I couldn't continue watching, but I could only listen to it because, like I said, I had meetings and things today. So I don't really know, but I am going to look up and see who juror number 12 was, because I'm really interested to know if that was a black juror that he was trying to get dismissed like this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This trial, I have a lot of hopes for this trial, not just for this, but because there's also federal charges. So if things don't go well for us, and I'm saying us as a community on this one, that they still have those federal charges, the hate crime. So I'm very positive about this. But that Rittenhouse, man, I mean, that's why I had to do these separately. I could not combine these again like I did yesterday because it's just too much going on with that Rittenhouse. I'm not positive. The jurors in the Rittenhouse trial, they did request to have some video, and the judge was like, "Oh, I need to see if that's okay." What? The jurors are supposed to get whatever the heck that they request. I mean, which is reasonable. And the video, wanting to have the video is very reasonable. So that's just crazy. It's just, oh my God. Say Daphne, he tried to say the defendant should have had separate trials. He brought that up again. Yes, he did. He brought that up a couple of times about having the separate trials and all this other stuff. I honestly don't know why they had them trials together, but Bryan can burn, baby, burn too, for all I care, because he was trying to run him down too. You can't tell me that he wasn't. As quick as he hopped up in that truck to go follow, when he seen him run by, instead of going and ask the other man, what the problem was, chasing after Ahmaud, he was too happy to do that. But that's just something that they do in that neighborhood. Yeah, that's juror number 12 that I'm talking about, Jesse. They were complaining about a lady falling asleep and not paying attention. That's the juror number 12 that I said I need to look up and see, who that is, or I don't know if I can even find the information out until after the trial, whatever. Yeah, Bryan has a sex offense trial coming up. Bryan has a lot of things going on. Pedophile and a bunch of other things. So I think that's probably why they didn't give him a plea. And you can just get thrown up in there too. and get the same charges as everybody else. But in the state of Georgia, felony murder is mandatory minimum life. So I'm very excited about that. I feel very positive the way the prosecutor, the female prosecutor, the way that she broke down that Travis McMichael had everything in his power, every opportunity to turn around and leave him alone and wait for the police like he claimed he was doing. He claimed he was waiting on the police that he never called, y'all. Yeah, so it's a whole lot going on as it pertains to that. So that is the recap of the McMichaels Bryan trial for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Oh, in the group chat, I'm very happy. Wanda, their mother, she actually came on and she spoke and she thanked everybody for their support. So that was very positive. There's a recap. It's not just going to be a recap. I'm going to go ahead and transition it over into a podcast because with everything, you know, between my documentaries and always recapping these high profile events and even the low profile ones, I post about them up on my page. I had stopped for a while because it was really getting to me. I needed an outlet to get it, and this is my way of getting it out. I'm going to transition it over into a podcast. So guess what? We have True Crime Remix. This is basically the first episode. So if you can go over and like my little page, I literally just set the page up right before we started. I'm going to drop this video on up over there as well. So it's going to be a new little thing and we'll see where it goes. But how are you guys feeling about this trial in particular right now? How y'all feeling about this? Talk to me. Jesse, at the end of the closing statements, they should ask us, what did Ahmaud steal to be killed over? Ooh. On Monday? Yeah, that's a good one. But I don't know. I feel like the prosecution need to go up in there and have that time to kill moment. Imagine if Ahmaud was white. Because clearly, y'all didn't care about the white people. Y'all weren't on the lookout for the white people that were stealing out the boat. Y'all didn't care about that. Y'all didn't care about the kids and their little plywood that all of a sudden now had permission. But what's his name? Larry said they didn't have permission to get it. But the parents said, the woman said, oh, they had permission to get it. But Larry is not there to dispute one way or another, even though he already said it. Basically, he said that they didn't. So like we shall see. Like I'm very optimistic about this one. I do feel like the prosecution did miss some moments to like really like dig in, but Travis was basically digging a hole. But once again, I am not their target audience. So how I feel doesn't matter. It's how those people sitting on the jury on this not diverse jury. It's how they're feeling at this point. And like I said, we got 2 ex-cops up on the jury. Right now, we don't know how this is gonna go. We don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm positive about the judge. The judge kept everything in line, kept the BS about, you know, the black pastors. Like he's overtired of hearing that don't care about any of that stuff. So he kind of kept him in line and kind of called him out for being a racist a bit on that. So I'm positive about that. And I'm positive and thankful that there's still a pending federal case for a hate crime behind this. And so whatever happens here, they still got that federal conviction. And so I'm positive. I'm not positive about the Kyle Rittenhouse. Let me go back real quick and say Julius Jones, after all those years, they commuted his execution. So he gets to live and breathe another day. Hopefully they will actually let this man out. But, you know, who knows? I would hate that they commit this execution just for this man to still spend life in prison when he should be out, because he was literally at home playing a board game. Oh, yeah. Crybaby Kyle, he's about to get off. But that's Killer Kyle. Killer Kyle is absolutely going to get off. If Kyle does get charged, it's going to be a slap on the wrist. It's going to be a slap on the wrist. That judge can't wait to dismiss whatever that they're setting up and give that boy time served, even though he hasn't served any time. Yep. Yeah, they should have let him go like the parole board stated for Julius Jones. Yeah, the parole board stated it. They didn't just state it once. This is the second time they've stated it. So I'm going to do a whole other episode of Julius Jones and just basically the whole tragedy of that. I'm really going to deep dive and do some research into it. A good dive like I do when I do my documentaries. These lives are just me straight shooting off the hip with this stuff. I have my notes, but I don't have them written out as well as I do for the documentaries, because that's a whole different outlet. But I wanted this to just be real raw. That's why it's like the True Crime Remix. This is the remix. This is our version of the events as they happen, how we see, how we deal, how we relate. Because, we as people, we have a whole different way of how we deal with things. So I want all of y'all to have a good night. But I want you to go and step on over there. You might already have a friend request for me on the True Crime Rewind. I'm going to go ahead and drop this video up over there when he finished. I'm going to go ahead and get off this Instagram because I don't think they ever heard me at all. I don't know how to cut this stuff off, y'all. I'm tripping. Okay, there we go. So, ending that. But, yes, True Crime Rewind. This will be my first episode on it. I will clean it up a little more and put it on the actual podcast. But this is the video version of it. So, have a good night. And thank you all for watching.